Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Charlene, Miss Charlene, and this is Lunch with the Finance Bunch. Welcome to Accelerated Radio, ARP. Today, I just wanted to say I'm starting my new show, and I was going over with my finance bunch some topics that I think are important to people, and so I have in the studio with me, I have Nathan Wu. And
whoa. Let's get the names right.
I'm sorry, Nathan Wu. I didn't say it right?
Yes, Dustin Wu.
Dustin, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
You're looking at the wrong person.
I'm nervous. I know, I'm already messing up. Okay. We have Dustin Wu.
Thank you.
You're welcome. From LPWCPAs, and his office is in Beverly Hills. He's a CPA. And we have Natalie Neith with the John Arrow Group, and Natalie is a realtor, and her office is at Sunset Plaza in West Hollywood. We also have Lisa Shaver, and Lisa Shaver is a New York Life agent, and her office is in the Miracle Mile. And we have Nathan, who was on my mind from the beginning, Nathan Finch, and his group is RSC Business Group, and Nathan is a professional business coach. So the topic today is getting started. People get really, it's like a wall gets built up when we talk about finance and all the different aspects of it. And so the reason I wanted you guys on was kind of to dispel some of the rumors and kind of put some reality to what we hear about finance and the fact that there's so many different aspects of finance. So if someone comes to me, and I'm in mortgage banking, and they tell me they want to buy a house, let's take that for instance, what do they need to do? They think they just would come to me and say, I want to buy a house, and the house costs $500,000, and what do we do? And so I would go back to them and say, okay, these are the things that I need. So now if they have an accountant, then that would include Dustin, all right? And then Dustin would give me the paperwork that I need to complete my portion of it. Then they'd go to Natalie. Or maybe they would come through Lisa, right? And Lisa, being their advisor, their financial advisor, would send them to Natalie, Dustin, and myself. So there's intricate parts of just one transaction that may involve several different people. And that's something that I think people aren't necessarily aware of, right?
Right.
And so I wanted to kind of talk about that today. And also, Nathan, being a business coach, when you have a person who is looking at, or they have a business, and you're discussing some of the things with them, you're my business coach, and I tell you a lot of times you're my therapist, right? So, because you give advice in more than one area, you think when you hear a business coach, you think they only advise you or guide you in one area. And that's not true. They help you with, different areas depending on what the needs are. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about with you guys today.
Great.
In our inaugural
Excited to be
show, as Natalie said. Okay, so Natalie, as far as buying a house, people come to you to purchase a house. Sometimes they're in a position to buy one, sometimes they're not. And so I wanted to hear from you, basically, in that house buying process, what would you advise someone like me who, let's say I never owned a home? What would you tell me would be my first steps to buying one?
Well, first of all, people come to me from all different areas. I talked with a gentleman this morning who was in a meeting we were in this morning who's renting. And so if the scenario you presented where you don't own a house, you're renting an apartment, you're renting a condo, you're renting somewhere, and you think you want to own your own house. Well, obviously there are steps you have to take, and the most critical part is to see if you qualify for a loan. Because unless you have mattress money stuffed in your mattress that you can pay cash for that house.
I don't advise.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people are in that category, although more today than ever before. You need to get your ducks in a row and see if you qualify for a loan. And that might mean going to your CPA or going to your accountant and getting advice from them or having them help you with the paperwork. And then I would refer them, of course, the first step of all is to go to a mortgage broker and see what they need to do. Maybe they're not ready. Maybe they have debt that they need to take care of, or maybe they have not put together their financial statements or their pay stubs or anything.
Mhm.
So I would send them to their accountant. I would send them to you as a mortgage broker, because you've got to do that part before you can move forward.
So what you're saying is I need to get qualified before I can go shopping.
Absolutely,
Basically.
absolutely. It's not like just putting it on your credit card.
Okay. Yeah, because I would, you look at houses, like before I bought my first house, I would look at houses all the time. And I was up in Beverly Hills and Bel Air and, just everywhere looking at houses and with no concept of
What you qualify
what
for.
I qualified for.
Absolutely. That's critical.
And that is critical. And, and I think that for a lot of people, they'd rather imagine than actually do it. They're like, okay, I want to buy a house. And, and they go off into this fantasy world, right?
It's an intimidating process for some people.
Mm-hmm.
So you really do need to see what you need to do to take the next step. And that really starts with getting your ducks in a row, talking to your accountant, talking to your mortgage broker, figuring out what you qualify for. Then we can go on and say, oh, I want to live in this neighborhood, I want to live in that area, I want to be on the west side, I want to be close to downtown, whatever. You can't really move forward until you know what price range you're looking at. That's critical.
Exactly. And Lisa, you and I talk about this all the time, and savings is a big part of that. It's a big part of that. And so, what do you see as being like one of the biggest things that excuses people use for not saving money? Because I have 100 excuses for why I don't want to save money. I want new shoes. I want a new purse. I want to go get my hair done every week. I want to go on vacation because I work so hard, right? I want to go out to dinner. I want to drink a glass of wine.
I think it's all the shiny things that we're presented with on a day-to-day
all the
basis.
shiny stuff, I know.
You're walking by the window, like you said, and you see those shoes that are spectacular that you think you have to have. But it's because we haven't thought about ahead of time what is really of value to us. What do we really want in our life? Maybe we really do want a home that provides that sense of security and protection for ourselves, but we're never going to get to that home because we're too distracted by all the shiny things in life, going out to dinner with friends. Not that we shouldn't do all those fun things, but we have to
Budget.
Yes, I hate
Keep
saying
it
that
in
word, but
The B word, yeah.
But
The B
really,
word.
it's about keeping it in perspective of what is important for us in our life, in our future.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would really say that before you ever get to Natalie, you're probably going to see me first, and then you're going to see Charlene and the mortgage person, and then you're going to see Natalie, because then you'll really be prepared to buy the home that makes the most sense for you and your family, and that you can stay in for as long as you want to stay in, and then maybe even use that home to get you to another home, to get you to that next neighborhood that you would really like to be in. So it's really a process.
That's the logical financial analyst speaking.
That is, but
I want to purchase a home and I want all the shiny stuff too. And do you get those people who just they hear you and they go yes, but they don't,
Yeah, and the difference between people who say they want it, who dream about it, and the people who actually make it happen, those people who, as you're driving in the neighborhood, in the neighborhood that you want to buy a house in, the people who are living in that neighborhood are the people who have actually sat down, with themselves, with their families, with their financial advisor, their insurance person, their accountant, and really put together a plan. It's really about
the P word.
It does not have to be a complicated plan. It can just be a really simple plan about, okay, this is what I want, and this is how I'm going to get there. And now I'm going to put together a team. All the people that we have sitting here today are part of your team to help you to really get there, and so that you are the person living in that neighborhood, not the person driving through it.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, Lisa, when you said priorities. This whole discussion reminds me of two people that work in my office. They're young, they're new in their professions, and one of them just was Mr. Shiny stuff, buying the expensive suits and the multiple pairs of shoes and spending money, taking trips, going to Las Vegas, doing this, that, and the other. And then was influenced by another person. They started talking, and now they're both on the straight and narrow path. They're still taking the trips to Las Vegas. They're still doing the fun stuff, but they've worked out a plan. And one had a big influence on the other to think about what's going to be your priority in life. What's going to last for you? Yes, the shoes are great. The trips are great. Going out to clubs and dinners all the time is great. But you have to limit that if your priority is your future.
Right.
It's the F word.
You can
Right.
spend yourself
The
into
future.
The
unhappiness,
future.
Lots of bad
right?
words.
Yes.
So in short, you're saying that it's okay to be a hermit.
A hermit?
No.
I didn't say that. No, I said you can do those things. You can have the best of both worlds, but you need to
Balance.
focus. You need balance.
balance.
and you need to prioritize what's going to be important for you in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I
You
talk,
know that.
but I talk to young people all the time. Not to say that I'm not young myself, but I talk to young people all the time. And one of even the conversations I have with my son, you know, and one of the things that they say is that, yeah, the future, that's something that, you know, older people think about. You know, at their age, they're not thinking about that. You know, they want a house or they want to buy a condo, whatever that is, to live in, but they don't necessarily see the value in putting in the time or the, you know, they don't take the time to
Yeah.
sit and focus on that, or not even sit and focus, but put a plan together to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
You
why
know?
I was so impressed with these two, that they actually, one influenced the other so much that they both started doing that
Right.
and creating that balance and prioritizing so that down the road they'd be able to afford both.
Okay. And then Nathan, from a coaching perspective, you know, what is one of the first things you would tell somebody when they're thinking about, you know, getting serious about their future? Because that's kind of what it's about. And you being a young panelist here, you know, and within your age group, what do you see? What do you see?
Well, I think the biggest commonality amongst people in my age group is that they see what they want in the future and they're very clear on that, but they have no clear next step.
Okay.
And that's what makes the financial world so intimidating, which is, you know, what we're talking about today. One of the things, you know, in the past few years even, that has been really helpful for me to make the financial world not so intimidating is honestly developing really strong, solid relationships with people like you, people that are with me today. And you know, a few years ago, I wouldn't have known the least about accounting or buying a house or financial planning or anything like that. A little bit in financial planning, but not nearly enough to really do much with it. So a lot of times, and this is exactly what I do with my clients and with business coaching, is you start from where you want and then you work backwards, and then you know, work forward and then work backwards, work forward. And once you get that all hashed out on exactly what the steps are, you can say, okay, I need to talk to a financial planner because my dream is to buy a house. And rather than, because we all know this, because we know each other and we've talked with each other and we've done it, but you know, someone that has no clue, what I would do as a coach is work backwards, and then from there we would say, okay, you need to talk to a financial planner to get really clear on where you're at now and what the next step is, and then you need to talk to a mortgage broker. Then you can talk to a real estate agent.
I think it's interesting that you say it that way, because I think in almost for everything that all of us do, almost every time it starts with looking at where do you really want to be and where are you now?
Right.
And then what steps do we need to create in order to get you to where you want to be? Because if you don't know where you want to go, I mean, if you get in the car and you just start driving,
You're not necessarily going to get there.
yeah, because you don't
need
know
a
where you're
roadmap.
going.
Yeah.
And
You
you're
need a
going to run
roadmap.
out of, yeah, and you're going to run out of gas.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
If you don't know where you
And-
are now, you can't really
Right.
get to your destination either. So it's that, you know, it's something that you really have to do in almost everything that you do in life.
Yeah, and just like you were saying earlier, a lot of times with my clients, it ends up becoming a therapy session,
Right.
Mhm.
which is
Yep.
which is great because people have, And everybody has them, but people have emotional hangups with different things. Some people are really afraid of buying a house. Some people are really afraid of being clear on where their finances are,
Right.
or,
Or-
whether it's personal or business,
Or starting a business.
Absolutely.
or
yeah.
starting a
That's
business.
a huge fear, and you could
Mhm.
have the talent, or gift in something.
For
and
miles, yeah.
Right, and you just won't do it. I know on future shows, Nathan and I talked about this. We're going to talk about, starting 25 businesses that you can start for $500 or less.
Mhm.
Because you want to put yourself in a position to be able to create the kind of
Mhm.
income that
Mhm.
puts you in a position to do the things you want to do.
Mhm.
And when you own your own business,
Mhm.
that's something that can get you, in my opinion,
Mhm.
to a wealthy state.
Absolutely.
You
I-
know,
I agree with that. It's multiple streams of
It's
income.
multiple
Mhm.
streams of
Mhm.
income, and I was talking with Dustin, and we were talking about, we were talking about the show today, and I asked him, we were talking about how people feel like, they only need a CPA at the end, like
You
at
need one
the
at the
end.
beginning.
No.
When you get the audit
At
letter?
when you get the audit letter,
Right,
right? The IRS is on your back, and then
Yeah.
you're looking through the phone book, right? If you don't know one,
Yeah.
and you're trying to find a CPA because CPA
What's a phone
equals
book?
IRS. You know what I mean? I'm old. Stop it.
On Yelp,
Okay,
you
you're
mean?
Googling or looking on Yelp. Yes, you're looking for the CPA
Yeah.
to save you, and Dustin has to pull out his cape, and come to the rescue. And here this person comes with all this stuff they haven't done their taxes in years, So I think with every adventure you want to go in finance, I think you need to start at the beginning,
Mhm.
Yeah.
not
Yes.
just jump into
Yeah,
the
you want to
middle of it.
prevent the mistakes rather than, obviously if you're already there, then you got to do what you got to do, but so much nicer if you can prevent it. you
Right.
know?
Of course.
Well, and just like you
Exactly.
said earlier, investing the time and not
The
thinking that
time.
everything's going to happen overnight.
Right.
That's another huge misconception with my age group, is that everyone's looking for whatever can happen overnight.
Right.
How can I get a house overnight? How can I start a business overnight? How can I do this overnight? And it really is just so much easier
It
if
really
you
is.
plan,
Right.
the bad P word, and if you plan and you start making connections and building solid relationships with people in different financial areas, people that you trust, that you can talk to and you can ask, because a big fear again is actually being honest about where you're at versus
Right.
where you want to be.
And I
Right.
think it's part of the reason that the P word and the budget word get such a bad rap is that
Planning and
as-
budgeting.
Yeah, it's just that they, it sounds so final. It sounds like, oh, this is just how it's going to be, but it's really not. It's really about, it's kind of an experiment, really. It's, okay, where am I now? Where do I want to be? And then you come up with a plan or a budget, which is basically just a plan for your money, and you are constantly making adjustments, or at least if you're doing it right, that's what you're doing, because you're not going to be perfect at it. You might set some of those planning items, some of those budgeting items, and in the beginning when you start actually doing them, they don't make sense for you, and but it gives you a point at which to make changes and to adjust so that you can make better decisions moving forward.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
a plan, not a sentence.
And
Right.
remember, a
Yeah,
plan
thank
takes a
you.
while to take.
That's true. Yeah, they see it as a sentence.
Yeah.
You see it as a
I
sentence
have to
instead
do
of
this.
Right.
No, it's flexible.
It's flexible, and
What
that's
was that,
the F
Dustin?
word, flexible.
Oh, the plan should be longer than, if you start planning things, it's not going to take 1 day, 2 days. It could be a month.
Right.
So
Mhm.
I see it where a lot of people are trying to do things within this week. Oh, wait, today's Friday. I got to get it done. It's
Mhm.
not going to happen.
Right.
Mhm.
No, you need some time to see how your results are coming out, so that then you have that information to make decisions about, to make changes about. It's not overnight. It's not like going and buying shoes.
Right.
Mhm.
But then the stress, I think that's what causes the anxiety
Mhm.
and the stress, is because you think you have to get it all done in one day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I'm a same day person too. I want it all done today, right now, right away.
I
And
hear
you do.
you.
You have to, what you can get done today is what you want to see to happen in the future, and then work backwards from there. And I think, and that's putting the plan in action. It's fine to say I want to live in that $1 million house or that $500,000 house, and find the house, take a picture of it, put it on a board,
Mhm.
stick a pin in it, look at it every day. But you have to put a plan together to make that happen. And there are components to making it happen successfully, so it's is sustainable.
And
And I think that's the thing. And, you know, talking about finance, and we said this off the air, you know, talking about the different aspects of finance, it's not sexy. You know, it's not cute. It's not the hip thing to do. You know, it's not. But, you know, it's necessary because it's also not sexy not to have money or not to have a life plan. That's not sexy
or not to have a
either.
place to live.
Or not to have a place to live.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I think part of what we're all saying really is if you've got this plan in place, or even if you have this goal and you don't have the plan in place, is to break it down into bite-sized chunks.
Right.
You know, those
Yeah.
baby steps
Don't
that
eat
you're
the
going to
elephant
take.
all at once.
You can't.
Yeah, you just have to realize that, and it is an intimidating process.
Mhm.
So people have to realize that, you know, just take it a little bit at a time, you know, and you'll eventually get there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
even doing what I do, even I go to someone to help me with what I do for other people, because I need somebody to coach me and to help me. We can't, we need that outside, I think, input to help
Everyone
us,
does.
support us, make good decisions, you know.
Mhm. And everyone has that mentor like or coach person. And I think in every age group, I think we don't utilize that tool as much as we should because it helps you get to where you want to go. It really does. You know, because I have questions, I'll, you know, call Dustin and I'll ask him a question about accounting or about finance, or one of my clients may have a question and I can quickly pick up the phone and call because, and the other thing people need to know is that no one is an expert in all areas. You know, I know a lot about mortgage banking because that's what I do for a living, you know, but I don't know every aspect of the other pieces of the puzzle. I know who to contact and I have a general idea. And I think that for this show is something that was at the heart for me in wanting to do this show, you know, Lunch with the Finance Bunch, because I wanted people to have a tangible way of, you know, turning on, you know, their computer or, you know, pulling us up on the icon on their phone, and for an hour on Friday from 12 to 1, getting some bite-sized information that they could swallow, you know, and do something with. And so that's why I thought it was so, you know, important to have a lunchtime show, because for me it signified, you know, you don't eat the whole elephant, you don't eat the whole pie. It's one slice at a time till you get to where you want to be.
Absolutely.
You know,
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
and there's a lot of different aspects of this, a lot of different aspects. And so in upcoming shows, you know, you guys are going to come on one at a time. You know, we're going to have some fun. You know, we're going to get into arguments because I don't necessarily always agree with everything everybody says, you know, but it makes people put their thinking caps on. And I want people to tune in because these things are important and I want them to enjoy the show. So, you know, I'll have Nathan on and he'll tell us 25 ways to, you know, start a business, you know, for $500 or less. And then I'll have Dustin come on and tell us how we better call him before we do that $500 business, you know.
You better.
so that we stay out of the IRS trouble that you see a lot of people get into, you know. And then, you know, and Natalie for purchasing homes, and, you know, Lisa for planning your financial future, you know. And in that respect, people think that when you go to someone to help you build your financial future, Lisa, you know this because we talk about it, people think they have to take all of their money and give it to Lisa and not have anything to spend on anything else, and they're just supposed to, like Dustin said, be a hermit. Just be okay with it. And it's not true.
Maybe that's just me.
Yeah. You know, I read an article the other day. It was by Warren Buffett, and he talked about how a particular stock, if you had purchased it 40 years ago, you know, today you'd be a millionaire. And that stock back then, if you would have put $40 into that stock and just left it there, didn't even think about it anymore, today you'd be a multimillionaire, you know. And he equated that to $540 in today's money because, of course, everyone would say, well, $40 can't buy you anything today. What is $40 equated to today? And it equals about $540 in today's money, right? So when you look at something like that, what would you say about investing in something? What I tell my son is this: you don't have to take all of your $540 that you make, but take one of them and give it to Lisa. You
Just
know,
one.
just this one. You know, just take one of your $540 and give it to Lisa, and just don't think about it anymore, or two.
Yeah.
You know, and just don't think about it anymore, and see what happens.
You're not giving it to me.
Oh yes, I am.
Fair.
I'm giving it to you in my mind. I'm giving it to you. And isn't that the way people think?
Sometimes people do say funny things like
Right.
that, but really it's about putting into, you know, if you've got two pockets in your pants and you got one pocket that's going to pay you nothing,
Right.
and the other pocket's going to pay you more,
Right.
it's really just about moving the money from one pocket to the other. It's still yours. It's still in your pocket. It's just in a different pocket. Hopefully a more profitable pocket.
I like that.
That's a very good
That's a
analogy.
very good analogy, because I told my son, go take that $540 and give it to Lisa and let Lisa
No,
put
just
it
let
to
Lisa
work.
tell
Put it
you which
somewhere.
pocket to put it in.
Right.
I love pockets now.
Right. Two pockets. One non-profitable pocket, right, and one profitable pocket. And the
Yes.
pocket you're spending out of,
Mhm.
you know, when you're spending, that's what you're doing.
Yeah,
It's
your
not
checking
gonna-
account is your non-profitable
account,
pocket.
right?
You know, that's where you're keeping your day-to-day money so that you can pay your bills and that kind of thing. And it's really just about a holding place, right?
Mhm.
Some place to put it and take it
Mhm.
right back out again to wherever it needs to go.
Yeah.
It's you know, you might think about a savings account, which is paying really terrible rates right now,
That's
but at
another
least it's
holding
safe
pocket.
there. It's
Yeah.
another holding pocket for maybe a shorter term purchase that you're thinking about.
Right.
Maybe you have to, the lease on your car is coming up, or you know you have to buy another car soon, and so you need a place just to stash that money until you
Right.
can get enough to take care of what you got to take care of.
Right.
But there's lots and lots of different kinds of pockets, and that's something that I can help people to understand the different kinds that are available out them, the different kinds of options that are available to them.
And some of those pockets are like a garden. You're planting seeds because you want to see that money grow.
Yes, it's something that where you're going to leave it in there for a while. To buy a house, for instance.
Yes.
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Miss Charlene, and this is Lunch with the Finance Sponge on Accelerated Radio, APR. And we'd like for you to listen in every Friday from noon till 1.
You get it next time.
I'll get it next time, yeah.
Dry run.
Dry run, yeah. So Nathan, again, you know, we talked about this. I talked about this with someone last night, and we're really talking about how do we get the attention of people in your age group. You know, what do you think is one of the things that would either help us reach that age group, you know, and what prevents us from reaching that age group?
Well, just like I would suggest to someone that's running a business for their market, because you're speaking of my age group as a market essentially.
Yes, it's
right
a
now.
market.
You can't try to sell someone something that they don't want.
Right.
So but you can take your product and you can kind of you can reword it, or you can say it in a way that it sounds like something, not sounds like, but it actually is something that your market wants. So people in my age group, you know, they're interested in a lot of things, but primarily they're interested in things that they can get overnight. They're interested in looking sexy. They're interested in looking good in one way or another. So, you know, what is it about putting your money in a profitable pocket? What is it about buying a house? Or what is it about having your money in order as far as your business is concerned, or just as far as your taxes are concerned, that is going to make you look good or make you look sexy? And I think
Right.
that's a lot of times the disconnect between the younger age group and the older age group. It's not necessarily that their mindset of wanting things overnight is wrong. It's just kind of tweaking that to get them to understand, well, it's not necessarily going to be overnight, but you can have what you want. You just need to take these steps first.
Right.
I also think that once you start it young,
Yeah.
it stays with you forever. Because
true.
if you think you'll do it in your 30s or 40s, it's too late sometimes, because sometimes you're digging or replacing the hole you dug already.
Right.
So it'll be easier to start in your early 20s, maybe your first job.
Creating
Mhm.
better habits
Exactly.
that
You
work
start
for you
it,
better.
I was
It'll be
going to
easy.
talk about
Mhm.
habits too.
Mhm.
Habits, they, there's the phrase that habits take 30 days to solidify.
Something like
It
that.
takes
yeah.
like 30 days to
Mhm.
develop a habit.
Someone told me 66. and
I
that's
was
why
thinking
people
maybe
don't
more like
don't aren't successful because it's actually 66
Days.
days.
Okay.
I was
Right.
thinking
Very
sometimes
specific.
it takes,
Oh.
365 plus sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, I think that if you, just like Dustin said, the longer you put it off, you're just going to keep putting it off. And first of all, you're developing a habit of putting things off.
Right.
Mhm.
Second of all, if you would just make yourself start, even something simple, putting $1 away, putting something a little bit away, and get in the habit of doing it, you eventually just don't even miss it because it's a habit.
Right.
I think too, it's not just the habit, but also a reason behind it. So, it's changing your mindset to why am I doing this and what is it doing for me? So that every time I do put that dollar in,
Mhm.
it gives me a good feeling because I
Right.
know that I'm going to get whatever it was that I wanted out of it, right?
Right. Now, like
oh,
an example, in the finance class that I teach on
Mhm.
Saturdays, right?
Mhm.
I tell the young ladies, your child's birthday is going to show up
every year,
every
at
year
the same time.
at the same time. It's going to be the same
Weird how
day.
that works.
It may not be the same day of week, but the
Mhm.
date will be the same.
Mm-hmm.
So if you start saving from the day after this
Mhm.
birthday until the next birthday, it won't throw your budget off
Mm-hmm.
to have that birthday party. And
Mhm.
Christmas comes the same time every year.
Well, and you
Promise,
get
December
positive
25th,
reinforcement
it will
from
be
that.
Christmas again.
Mhm.
So if on the 26th of Christmas, which is my birthday, by the way,
Happy birthday.
then, you start saving.
Should we start saving now?
Yes, absolutely, for my birthday.
We should have started saving December 27th
Yes.
last year.
Right, but you know what? It's never too late to save for my birthday, so you guys can get started now.
We'll have to catch up.
Exactly, and catch up. Whatever you're going to buy me, if you save for a year for it, start it now and divide it into the next 3 months, and you'll
Okay.
have it.
There
Yeah.
we go.
That seems like a lot of math.
It is a lot of math, but it works for me. I'll help you.
Okay. All right.
Right? But I was saying, with birthdays or whatever holiday that a lot of times throws people off their budget or whatever, it's because you didn't start the day after the last time this happened.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it could be $1, 365. You have $365 a year
Mhm.
from now, and that's not a lot of money, but it can put together a child's birthday party,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
or whatever.
I think
So-
you'd be pretty happy if we all gave you
$365.
birthday
Absolutely.
present.
So that's what that's the goal for my birthday.
Okay.
Is everyone
a
save
dollar a day.
$1 a
$1
day.
a day.
Yeah, and then don't even buy me a gift. Just give me the money. I'll buy
Yeah.
my own gift.
Or you're
And
gonna
I'll
give it
enjoy
to
it just
Lisa
as
to
much.
put it away.
I think she's going on a
Put it in
cruise or
Lisa's
something like
pocket.
that.
No, you know what? Lisa will pull me to the side and say, "Okay, how much of that is going to
The profitable
the
pocket.
profitable pocket?" Exactly. She will. Definitely. I'll just avoid her for a while.
Yeah. It's okay.
Well, that reminds me of things that when people come to me and say they want to buy a house, I actually just sent Charlene this on an email of a list of 10 things to do before you're buying a house, and it seems so obvious to some of us,
Mhm.
but people don't really think about it. If you're looking to buy a house or make a major purchase like that,
Right.
or maybe you're going to invest in a business, you're going to buy a franchise or
Right.
something, whatever, you don't want to be making big purchases when you're going to try to apply for a loan. You don't want to go buy a new car.
Oh, why not? A lot of people do that. You get approved for a loan for a house, and then you go buy a car.
That is
Messes up
a
your
no-no.
deal.
That is
Yeah.
a no-no. You don't want to go making any big major purchases. Don't go buy that humongous
What about the
flat
furniture?
screen TV or the new bedroom set or whatever.
Mhm.
If you're looking to do some major purchase, be it buying a house or a condo, or be it buying a franchise to start a new business, you need to be conscious about what you're doing with your money. It needs to be going into that profitable pocket,
Right.
Yeah.
not going out.
So it shouldn't be in the checking account. It should be in the savings account.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or
Mhm.
the money making
investment
account.
account
yeah,
or
the money
whatever.
market account
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever,
Depending
right?
on how soon you're going to be purchasing. Yeah.
I want to purchase a house now. I told you guys that at the beginning of the show. I was in Beverly
How many
Hills
times does she have to
looking
say it?
at houses, and I want to purchase it from Natalie
Today.
today.
Well, that's
Well,
great, but
I love
are,
that.
are all your ducks in a row? Have you already sat down with all of these other advisors that you have on your
No.
team
No.
to make sure that all of your stuff is the way that it should be? If you haven't, then put that on your vision board as your dream. Even put a picture of the house that you want, for instance, and then set up meetings with each of your team members, or start interviewing team members if you don't have a team already, and start putting that together. And very soon you will have that house. I mean, it's
So
proven.
it's the P word again, planning.
A little bit of planning, just one step at a time. Don't go too crazy.
But
just
remember,
one
it's
step at
not a
time.
sentence.
It's not a sentence.
It is.
It's
a
your
plan.
it's
It's a plan.
it is making your vision board come true,
Yes.
and it really does work. I've done it myself, and I have a lot of friends that have done it as well. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Natalie, this is something else that we run into when we're discussing things with potential clients for you and for them to pre-qualify with me. We run into this a lot, and we talk about it. It's people who, because they haven't made a plan, they do make these big purchases that have a negative impact on their ability to purchase something else. And so, in talking to Lisa, and I talk about this too, what do we do? Because sometimes it's just advice that people need, a plan. Sometimes people don't need just a plan of how to get to a specific goal, but they need a plan on how to get out of a situation that they've already gotten themselves into.
Mm-hmm.
Too much debt. Do you
Or constantly paying
or
bills
constantly
late.
paying bills late?
So, and I think anyone on this team, anybody that's here
Mhm.
today, could counsel them in some regard to that.
Right.
But you want to build your as my business coach says, build your financial fortress.
Right.
Yeah.
Get your affairs in order. It sounds so grown up and so old school, but it's so important.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. I
Agree.
completely agree. I'm glad we all agree.
I second that.
Yeah, right.
I like financial fortress. That's great. Yeah. I've heard people say bulletproofing.
Right.
Something comes flying at you like life often does. You want to be in a position to be able to deflect that, whatever that is, and be prepared for it so that it doesn't take you down. It doesn't make your life chaotic.
Mhm. Well, and if you think about it, why are people so afraid of finances? Why is it such an intimidating aspect of life? It's because
don't we
people
talk
have had a
about it?
lot of negative experiences in
Exactly.
the financial world. So if you can start taking steps today, like Natalie was talking about, to build that financial fortress, to bulletproof yourself, then you're going to start creating those positive experiences for yourself and
Right.
get that ball rolling.
Exactly.
And I think most of those negative experiences are just because we in our country we don't do a lot of training on financial issues. And it's something in a lot of cultures that is taboo almost to talk about. Sometimes, as parents, we don't talk to our children about why they can't have that. We just tell them they can't have it. And so it's really important that we start to talk to our children about money and how to use it the right way. So because it's a tool. Are we afraid to talk about a shovel? No. Do we know what to do with a shovel and how to use it? Yes. It's money is the same thing, and it's just a whole lot more tools out there available to use that money to make it do what you want it to do. And that's, I think, how we really have to start talking about it, so that we're not setting ourselves up for pain later on, and then we get even more afraid to talk about the thing that we really should be talking about.
Absolutely.
You know?
Well, and seeing money and finances for what they are, and that's a tool, just like Lisa is saying. And, the big difference between a tool like money and a tool like a shovel is that there's a lot of emotional attachments and hang-ups when it comes to money. Everyone has them. Being able to identify those and know what they are, and then effectively deal with them from that place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Lisa again was spot on when she talked about we don't teach our kids that, and we live in a society and a culture where we are besieged constantly with TV and everything, the internet, constantly consumerism. Oh, look at this great new video game. Look at this great new toy. Look at this great new doll. Little kids see this, or even buy this cereal, buy this candy bar. Constantly besieged with it
How to
all
buy,
the time,
yes.
bombarded with that. And so that child goes to the store with their parents. They don't understand why they can't have everything that they saw on TV.
Right.
First of all, maybe it's too expensive. Maybe it's not good for them. Maybe it's unhealthy. Maybe it's dangerous.
Yeah.
But we need to start educating our children as well as educating us as we get older
That's
in life.
right.
Yeah, Natalie's right. You think about even the word she used, too expensive. What does that mean to a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 10-year-old even? They
have
don't
no
know.
idea.
They don't know what that means, and nobody's taken the time to explain it to them. So now you've just essentially attached a negative emotion to a word, and that's all it is for them. And so now they grow up thinking that money or anything related to money, all those negative emotions come back to them because they weren't taught anything positive and useful about it.
28-year-olds I know that fit into that category.
Right? I know. I think we
Stop
all
looking
do.
at me.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I know
all,
30
it's all
and 40
age
and
groups.
50 and 60-year-olds who
That's
have
right.
those things.
Yeah,
you know?
it's all age
Yeah.
groups, and it goes across every economic level. It's not, the challenge of any particular group. I think
No.
it's a national crisis.
I see it across the board
Yeah.
in my practice from from people who are below the poverty level to people who are making incomes, over and above 200, 300,000 a year, and they still have the same kind of money issues, the same kind of money hang-ups and problems. And they all come back to really simple things like, how do I think about money? What does too expensive mean? What is budgeting? How do I do it? I don't know very many people who have actually attended a class, maybe in high school or college, probably not, on how to balance a checkbook.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know?
No, and every time I've heard about the class that you teach, Miss Charlene, to the young women, the class in financial literacy, I am the senior citizen in this group, and I think to myself, I need to be taking that financial class because we can always learn.
That's right.
Yeah.
And learning how to balance your checkbook, or I admit I'm the person that says I can't be broke. I have checks left.
Right.
I still see money in the bank.
Right.
This is really funny that you because I just realized I think we're sitting here with someone from every decade.
Yes.
Oh, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
20,
Yeah.
20 through something.
No,
Yeah.
we're not going to name that last decade.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's what makes this, group so valuable to me, because I get an opportunity to see it from every aspect, and the thing that we are with each other is transparent. You're not just gonna tell me something just because that's what I want to hear. And like we talk about this too, learning to do things, it's not easy, it's painful. Be honest, but once you get started, it's like exercising. Once you get started,
it's not painful anymore.
It becomes fun. Exactly. But you have to get started.
Well, and I think that some of the problem is rooted in the fact that parents traditionally want their children to have a better life than they have, and so
Which is great.
that may be great, but sometimes it conjures up the concept of never saying no, and then that may not have to do with material things. It may have to do with behavioral things.
Right.
But as the oldest person in this group, my parents lived through the Depression, and so I grew up with that mindset that they had about saving money. My parents owned rental property, so that's a very comfortable concept for me.
Yeah.
And as soon as I was able to do that, I purchased rental property, and would continue to do so, and would encourage people to do so, because an investment in real estate can be a long-term source of passive income. That doesn't mean it doesn't cost you money.
Right.
I mean, there certainly are expenses attached to it, but it's, it is.
But that's a profitable pocket to be in.
That's a very profitable
It is.
pocket.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially in Southern California.
Absolutely,
Right.
yeah.
Did your parents charge you rent for your room?
No, they didn't, but they exacted certain tasks to be done, and maybe
chores.
that was my
Maintain.
rant.
So it's a barter.
Yes.
I
It's
hate
a bartering
it.
system.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea for parents, though.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
then
but
at least
You're
they
just
could.
saying that because you're an adult now.
I'm grown up.
You wouldn't think that if you were a kid.
Part of parenting is, you do things for your kids when they're not able to, right?
Mhm.
But the other part of it is teaching them to do stuff so that they can do it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that should be really in almost every area, right? There's nothing, you want them to become good and productive adults. And the way to do that is to teach them from your experience how to do whatever those things are, whether
But what
it's
if you
laundry or
don't?
cooking or budgeting or, whatever.
Right. But
Mhm.
but again, that goes back to what, like
Mhm.
Natalie said,
Mhm.
that's the environment in which she was raised.
Right.
Mhm.
You know,
And what if you don't have
what if you
that?
don't have that
Mhm.
foundation?
Mhm.
Where do you get it
Yeah.
from? And I think that's
Yeah.
what this discussion is about. Is
Mhm.
you turn on your
Yeah.
radio or you go to your internet and you
Mhm.
you Google things and
Mhm.
you figure it out
Mhm.
and you start with line 1. You don't
Mhm.
start at line 26.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, and
I'm
you
with you on that,
decide.
absolutely.
You know, if you're an adult and you
Mhm.
want to teach your children a better way to
Mhm.
do things,
Mhm.
then you yourself learn the better way so that
Mhm.
you can teach your children, and it's never too late.
Never too
Mhm.
late.
Never
no.
too late.
No.
Like Natalie said, she'd love to come to my class,
Mhm.
but it's during the time when she's selling houses. So she's like, oh, 8:30 in the morning. No,
Yeah.
Shirley, no, you'd have to make it a little bit later.
Mhm.
So, but it's
Mhm.
true in every age group. There are
Mhm.
disciplines that
Mhm.
we need
Mhm.
that we don't have,
And we can
that
learn
we
from
can
each
learn from
other.
each other.
Yeah.
We can.
And so I'd
Yeah.
like that to be,
Mhm.
this lunch with the finance
Mhm.
bunch. I'd like to be a part of that. I'd like
Mhm.
to be a part of that for the listeners out there,
Mhm.
to tune in and they can hear from different people,
Mhm.
and it's a
Mhm.
discussion,
Yeah.
and they can also, go to their blog or ask us questions. We'll have a chat room where they can
Mhm.
go into the chat room and ask questions, and we can answer those questions for them live.
Mhm.
So it'll be
Fun.
interactive,
Okay.
so that we can kind of uncover some of the mystery behind
Yeah.
finance that doesn't necessarily need to be there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Take the fear away.
Mhm.
Yes.
Well, and one of the things, and I'm sure you will agree with this, Charlene, as well everyone else, but there's a lot of actually relatively basic concepts behind the financial world.
Exactly.
And especially with parents that are trying to instill these concepts in their kids, because
Mhm.
I remember as a kid, like, if my
5
parents,
years ago.
5 years ago.
Okay.
Sorry. I just turned 18. No, I remember as a kid, my parents have always been very smart when it comes to money, and they talked to me about it when I was a kid.
Or had the
But guess
opposite
what?
experience.
I was a kid.
Mhm.
I didn't care. Everything went over my head, and you don't see that when you're a kid. You don't see the
Right.
future. You don't see the
Mhm.
plan. Why planning is necessary.
Mhm.
You
Right.
can't necessarily explain that to a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
But there are basic concepts behind what is going to be discussed on this show
Mhm.
today and in future shows that you can translate those over into transfer the concept over to toys for your kids and
Yeah.
apply it to their toys or apply it to playtime or apply it to whatever, and
Or-
that way as they grow up they
Right.
understand the general concept that can be transferred over to the finances.
Or an allowance and earning a bonus on your allowance, doing something to help around the house
Mm-hmm.
to earn your allowance, or maybe to do something extra
Mhm.
to save money for that special whatever.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you save your allowance for this long, you get this much interest on it. Just teaching them these basic concepts that as they grow up, they'll get it.
Just simple things like, okay, yeah, like Natalie's saying, you maybe you have chores that you do at home because you're a part of the family and everyone, is a part of the family and these things have to be done. But maybe in addition to that, they go out and wash the car this week, and so they get an extra, I don't know, a couple dollars or something. And then you take maybe half of that, and that's going towards saving for a toy that they have said that they wanted, and they know what that's going to be. and then maybe the other half goes for something else that may be a slightly longer term idea, so that they can start to get, obviously you have to make it for the age of the child,
Right.
because the attention span is shorter for younger children. Then you want it to be something a little bit sooner.
iPad,
Yeah.
iPad games,
And let
no
me
toys. I
I've
get
seen
that.
a couple 6-year-olds
Yeah.
with the iPads. So.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But here's the thing. Now,
It's
what
easier.
about
My godson
for?
knows
Cheaper
how.
too.
Yeah.
99 cents.
But the iPad is the expensive item, Dustin.
Mhm.
I'm assuming that the parents would have that one.
Not always.
Not always.
Not always. And that's to my next point. When we're talking about these things, what about the single parent, who, male or female, who has a child and they live on a limited budget, and this program is inclusive for them too,
Mm-hmm.
because you whether you're living paycheck to paycheck, or whether you have room in your budget for some of the things that you really want to have,
Mhm.
the point is you have to have a budget, because
Mhm.
if you don't have a budget, you're completely out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely out of control. And you'll have, at the end of the month, and Lisa and I know this from clients that we work with,
Mhm.
you'll have more month left than you have money,
Mhm.
no matter what amount of money you have.
Mhm.
So even if you make minimum wage, you have to have a discipline in place,
Mhm.
so that even if you can only save, like Lisa said, $1
Mhm.
out of that paycheck, or $5, it's more the discipline of doing it than the amount.
Mhm.
So I don't want anyone listening to feel like, oh, this conversation doesn't have anything to do with me. Yes, it does, because it's the discipline or the action that we're talking about, not necessarily the dollar amount. And it's
Mhm.
not your family composition that
Mhm.
we're talking about.
no.
We're talking about, in general, if anyone breathing
Mhm.
could listen to this conversation and get something out of it. And that's the concept that we're trying to build here,
Absolutely.
right?
Mhm. Yep.
Yes.
So for the single parent who's out there who has lived paycheck to paycheck, because I've been in that position. I am a single parent. Both of my children are now adults. But I remember being in that position where every dollar I had to go somewhere,
Mhm.
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 And I had to make those hard decisions, and saving had to be a part of that discipline, or there would be, if the tire burst, if the tire blew up, what would happen,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
So a lot of times, going back to Lisa's original point, sometimes when we are moving that money from the checking account to the savings pocket,
Mhm.
it's for emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's
Mhm.
for what people used to call rainy day money,
Mhm.
and if it rains in Southern California and you're on the freeway with a tire that just went flat, you got a challenge, especially if you don't have any money.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes the goal for the money can be whatever it is, but it needs to have a goal so that you feel good about doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the goal is for savings for an emergency, or saving for that Christmas gift
Mhm.
for that child or that adult,
For
or
you
or
next
for me
year.
for next year for my birthday. But we're going to get started this year,
Mhm.
starting today. I'll
Mhm.
take
Yeah.
your dollars when we get off the air.
Mhm.
But yeah, so for whatever age group, whatever income level,
Yeah.
this show, we're going to have something for them.
Absolutely.
A nugget to
Yeah.
take away to start building on, to build that foundation, so they can
Mhm.
have that financial security that everybody is looking for.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Absolutely. That saving for that toy or that whatever it is, whatever your age group your toy is.
That's right.
Way to
'Cause
put the
we all
disclaimer
have
out there.
them, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is one thing that you save for, but you're right. You also have to have that emergency fund, and that's just so that when life throws something at you, it's not gonna throw off your whole game. It's something you'll be able to deal with because you've started that little emergency fund, and that way it's not like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do? It's okay. Here you go. It's taken care of. Wasn't like really what I wanted to spend money on, but I had it there available when I needed it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. Or to buy some of those shiny things that you want, so that it
Mhm.
doesn't throw your budget off, because I'm a
Right.
shiny
But not
item
from your
girl,
emergency fund.
but not from your
Charlene.
emergency fund. No, not from the emergency fund. You can have a shiny fund too.
You can have a shiny fund. Yeah, your play money fund.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and just like Lisa said earlier, and just like we all see, we see people from below poverty level income to people that are making a lot of money a year that have the same exact problems, that don't know how to manage their money, that don't know how to budget. And if you can learn how to budget with not a whole lot of money, it's going to be a lot more likely that you're going to manage a lot of money
Exactly.
well. And if you're not budgeting your money now, even though you might not have a lot of money, you're probably not going to manage it well. You're going to have the same problems even if you're making 10 times your income.
Once you are making a lot of money. It's really disheartening to see when someone is making very good money, but they're just not managing it well, and it's hurting. It's causing them pain in their life. It's causing them to feel insecure. It's causing them to feel unprotected.
And the other side of that coin is when a person doesn't make very much money and they are able to save and they are able to, plan for things that come up or have emergency money.
And I
you
see that.
Right, it's a
awesome.
person whose
Yeah.
income you would think they would not be able to do that, and because of the discipline they can, and here's this person who makes 10 times as much, who doesn't have the discipline, is struggling to make it to the end of the month.
And most of the time when I see people who are doing the right things, who do have that discipline to save and to plan their month, to plan their money, it's because they have a reason. They've stopped to think about what is important to them and what they want. They know what their month is going to look like. They know that probably there's going to be something unexpected in there at some point, and they want to both avoid pain and also be able to have some nice and fun things as well for their families. And so it's because they've stopped to really think about what those values and goals are that they are able to do that.
Absolutely. Budget. The B word.
The budget.
Budget.
Well, and you also mentioned there was another one, the D word, discipline.
Yeah.
So that's another.
Discipline's not so hard though when you have a carrot. When there's something that positive with that. And then also when there's something that you're avoiding that pain, right? It makes it a little bit easier, I think.
Yeah, to have that goal.
When you've thought about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a question for us.
Oh.
From my son, he texted me and he said, "Can I give Lisa $50 and work my way up to 100, 200? Because 540, I feel like I'm speaking as someone is speaking to me as though I'm in church. That's a lot of money, $540."
And the answer to his question is absolutely. You can start with $50 a month. You can start with 10. You can start with 25. Think about what your range is, like he just did. That came to his mind, and he went, "Oh, wait, I can't do that, but I could do this." Right. That is the key to it. I can't.
Absolutely.
Okay, so maybe I can't do that, but I could do this, and that is the most important thing, is to get started.
Right, and I think that's the thought we want to leave people with today, is let's get started.
Yeah.
Let's get started. Let's talk about this. Let's unpack this scary, hairy thing called finance and all of its, components, and let's get started. Right where we are, whoever we are, at whatever economic level we are, let's just get started. So tune in every Friday at noon from 12 to 1 and listen to Miss Charlene and her finance bunch, and we'll talk about unpacking this thing called finance. And again, welcome to Accelerated Radio, and I'm going to say the letters right this time. ARP. Thank you, Justin.
Oh.
Thank you, Dustin. So I'm a little nervous, and this is my first show, and I thank you guys for listening in. Now I owe Dustin lunch because I messed his name up at least 3 times.
Yes.
I'll have to come to your office and get some free advice from you on.
Anytime.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. It was
Absolutely.
It was totally enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
See everyone soon.